55's number here in Orlando, or toll free 800-729-8255. I'm hanging out here tonight with my main man Paul Myers and Mark Johnson at NBAFCPRadio.com. Guys, we're going into the break talking about the Memphis Grizzlies and also teams that are surprising and been disappointing. Now, last week we talked about how bad the Grizzlies were. They were 2-6 at one point. They've won 4 in a row. Now they're 3-3. Now we can throw back in the category of teams that have been really confusing and disappointing have been the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, it is very, very surprising. We all talked about this just before we came over to the game. When we were doing our previous show, the addition of Ty Lawson should have been something that got them over the hill, and right now it seems like it's pulling them back down, and they're heading backwards, which is not what you want when you bring in a guy of Ty Lawson's caliber. Now, Mark, I think you were the one. You suggest that Ty Lawson come off the bench, right?
Yeah, at least to start. At least to start it. They had a really good thing going with Patrick Beverley when he was, healthy.
Agreed.
I'm just like, start him and ease Ty Lawson into the lineup. By the time you got to near midseason, he'd be in pure form, ready to go, and then that Rockets team can kick it up another gear.
Right.
I'm just like, he didn't have enough practice time with them in the summer. It's not like they bonded as a unit. It was kind of like, oh, yeah, everybody show up at training camp, and then let's mesh there in 3 weeks and, put it together. And I'm like, sometimes these things take time.
And you know something, just kind of add what you're saying. What you can do for now or going forward possibly, Ty Lawson can be your sixth man.
Mm-hmm.
You can. They've had. If you look at some of the lineups that have been effective for the Rockets thus far, they had Beverly, Lawson, and Harden on the court at the same time. So you can bring Lawson in as your sixth man, bring maybe Ariza out, give him a break, bring Terrence, somebody. You can. It doesn't matter. The good thing about Houston is they have a very interchangeable lineup with guys like Terrence Jones, Matajunas. Ariza can slide over to the 4 depending on who they're playing. They have a very versatile lineup. So I think Mark is correct. You bring Ty Lawson in off the bench. If you're playing against a team that has a weak second unit, Ty Lawson is going to pick them apart.
Now, here's a question with the Rockets. Is it all on Ty Lawson, or is the fact of were the Rockets just really that good? Or did they just catch luck last year in the playoffs with guys being hurt and they just were on fire in the second part of the season?
Well, again, health is always a concern with them. It has been thus far. Terrence Jones is just coming off injury. Matajunas still not healthy. Ty Lawson actually, from what I remember reading, he wasn't 100% healthy starting the season. These guys, they cannot seem to stay healthy. You got Dwight Howard, who's not playing back-to-backs. By the way, has been probably the best Rocket thus far. He's been a constant double-double guy until last night. Howard has played really well, but he's not playing every game, and that's the problem.
Last thought on the Rockets this one. Harden is averaging 27 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, almost 6 assists a game.
He's playing well.
But like I said, the key problem has been Ty Lawson. 11 games, 8 points, 5 assists.
Yeah.
This is from a guy, that was, like you said, was supposed to be brought in to do some things on the offensive end, but a career low 8 points a game, and he hasn't hit double figures. Guys, he has not hit a game of double figures since November 6th against Sacramento, where he scored 13 points. His last five games, 7, 7, 0, 8, and 6 on the point totals.
Right.
That's
bad.
That's not good. That's allowed. That's borderline Philadelphia 76er point guard territory.
Oh boy.
I know. I'm going to throw up at you all night. Speaking of point guards, our guest for our main guest of the evening tonight is a former NBA All-Star. He's been around the league so long and also has one of the most memorable moves in my lifetime in college basketball. We put Bobby Hurley in a blender, juiced him up, and pretty much, and drunk him and passed him on to his Georgia Tech teammates. Our good friend Kenny Anderson is online. Kenny, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. What's going on?
You know what, Kenny? I'm going to start off. I've been a big fan of yours since going back to the days of Georgia Tech. I remember Lethal Weapon 3. Being a Heels fan, me and Paul grew up as Heels fans.
Yeah.
I remember how much damage you did to Carolina over the years. For me, my first question is, when you transition, especially these younger point guards, how difficult is the transition going to be from college to the pros? How was your transition?
Well, when I was, skill level, skill-wise, I was great. A lot of times you just deal with, with the business side of it. It's a lot of politics. I went number 2 in the draft that year, and Willis Reed drafted me to the Nets, and Bill Fitch was my coach, and I think he wanted to draft Billy Owens, and they brought me in. Willis Reed wanted to bring me in, so that's the GM and coach. So I went in the middle of a mess. so that Bill Fitch didn't play me my rookie year. What saved me was I backed up Mookie Blaylock. Mookie Blaylock got hurt and he sat out. He had to sit out about 15, 20 games, and I played very well those games. And when he came back, he sat me back on the bench. So I knew it was personal. So, and another thing, I was home, coming from the metropolitan area of New York. Most of the media, the writers followed me in high school. So I just shut my mouth. I knew they would, they signed me for 5 years. I shut my mouth, and they invested in me. And I knew I was going to get the opportunity. I had an idea they were going to fire the coach and let me play. They couldn't just draft me number 2 and just sit me and not play me. So it's different for a lot of different organizations, and it's being a point guard. It's a very tough transition when you're playing with grown men. It's just you point guard. You got to come in and be a leader, and you're not. I was 19 at the time. I was 20. I was the youngest guy in the league in '91 when I came in. So that was like a real shock, and having to deal with different personalities, different egos, and jealousy. Because of my contract. And I always try to tell, kids I'm mentoring and my teams that I coach that, when money comes involved, it's a lot of politics, and you got to go through a lot of things that I didn't know of my rookie year. And then, after it was over, I said, wow, this is a business. You know what I mean? So, it's tough. It's tough making that transition. Not so much basketball. Not so much basketball. It's the mental wear and tear on you. When you're coming from, you're All-American in college, and then you come into the pros, everybody is the All-American, and it's like you're starting all over again to gain the respect.
Well, like you said, and Kenny, this is Paul, man. I'm actually excited to talk to you, man. I love watching you growing up. Not to make you sound old, that sounded bad, I guess. I think you made a good point. Is that your rookie year? I think the transition was probably tough because of the whole personal thing with you and Fitch.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some stats. You only started 13 games, as you said. Didn't get. You got like 17 minutes a game, so the stats weren't there. But it's awesome though, because if you look at the next 2 years, your stat progression was really impressive. So going through that though, I'm looking at some of the pit stops you had, and I don't want to call you a journeyman because most of your teams you played were towards the end of your career, so that's not quite the same thing. But I do want to kind of talk about that. You said you really enjoyed playing in the metropolitan area, so going from New Jersey to I guess the state I grew up in, North Carolina. How big of a transition was that for you? And did you like being there? Because I tell you, man, I got up out of North Carolina.
I kind of was weird. I don't consider myself a journeyman because I played 5 years with New Jersey Nets, 5 years with the Boston Celtics, and then I half a season with the Charlotte Hornets, 2.5 with Portland Trailblazers. But that stopped. I got traded. That's when Drazen Petrovic passed away.
Yeah, unfortunately.
He got killed, and Derek Coleman got traded, and then I was on the island by myself. I turned down. I believe back then I turned down a $40 million deal that the Nets was going to give me, to stay. But I said, I'd rather, get traded. And Muggsy Bogues was injured. He was injured. So they brought me over there from New Jersey. I got traded to Charlotte, and I loved it. Being from Georgia Tech, I was at the ACC lad.
Yeah, that's true.
ACC lad. So I loved it.
Everybody loves you, ACC lad.
Yeah, I thought they was going to pay me, but George Shinn had just gave that big contract to Larry Johnson,
right.
that $100 million. So he was like, nah, we ain't paying nobody no more. And,
he couldn't.
Yeah. So then I got, Portland Trailblazers, where I got love.
Man, you had a huge year there, too.
I had some big years there.
Yeah.
They gave me my big contract.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember those
how all
Portland
that
teams.
started. I thought that I was going to end up staying there. 'Cause I played some great basketball there, but
You really did.
DJ Carlissimo and Rick Carlisle, that was one of the reasons I was there. They wanted me there, and they got fired. And that's when everything, then I got traded to Boston. And that's where, Boston was just awesome. Being back on the East Coast, being close to New York, it was just, it was great.
Hey, Kenny, this is Mark. Mark here. I got to ask you this question because half my family's on my phone asking me, so I have to ask you. Was it ever a chance that you could have played for the New York Knicks? Maybe I could have signed here during free agency or anything that you could have got you to the Knicks at one point in your career?
Yeah, if you go back and check it out, I was a free agent. My mother wanted me to go there. They didn't. I always say I just wasn't a Pat Riley guy. Pat Riley. I had played 4 or 5 years over with the Nets and did a great job against the New York Knicks. We had some battles, and I was a free agent, 97. And they chose to go after, Chris Childs and Charlie Ward. And then that's who Portland signed me. But my mother was pretty pissed off. They didn't sign me. Rest in peace, my mother. But that was all doing, Pat Riley and I guess a little of Patrick Ewing. So we had the same agents at the time, me and I was with David Falk. But I guess they didn't want to spend that money on me. So, that's the main thing. It was a business decision. And, that's what happened. I thought I would be in their runnings when I became a free agent, but they went with Chris Childs and Charlie Ward.
Okay. So Kenny, I heard that you have a documentary you got coming up. So tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's my man. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Mr. Chibbs, you can go on MrChibbs.com and check out everything. Check out the trailer. Basically just, being a child prodigy, coming from New York City, all the obstacles I had to overcome, drug addicts and coming from a drug addict infested neighborhood and family members and living through it and the recruitment of Kenny Anderson. I was the number one recruit coming out of high school. And it's just my whole life, man. I think it's going to be really inspirational for all the young kids that got potential and even for some of the adults just to see the ins and outs of the NBA, the college. I touch on every personal life, basketball, education, financial literacy. So, it's just a real deep thing. I want to give a shout out to Skyscraper Films who invested in me. They believed in the project. And my guy, Barry, who's a VP, who's a executive producer, Barry, and Jill, my director, Jill Campbell, is just a hell of a director. She's doing a great job. We've been filming for 2 years, 2.5 years. So got about to get it done. So I'm excited, man. It's a big time thing. Very, very, very dear to my heart.
Yeah, and it sounds great. I'm definitely going to check it out. Now, speaking of checking you out, you're going to be here in Orlando, right? We got a nice little game coming up on Saturday. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, man. Toy Drive. I'm there, man. They called me. They reached out to my people. Anything giving back for the kids. I'll play a few minutes. I don't know if I'm a little slower now, so my crossover is very slow.
That behind the back crossover?
Yeah.
We know it.
That's my favorite, baby.
We know.
Slower, man. But no, it's basically a toy drive. The flight hoop team, the pro team, is involved in it. And I'm looking forward to it, coming down to Orlando and just giving back and helping the kids with the toy drive and whatever I can do. When it's youth, I'm definitely a part of it. And that's what I've been doing since I retired. I've got my AAU program, South Florida Elite, and mentorship programs and just reaching out, trying to help the youth. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, Kenny, before we let you out the door, speaking of the behind-the-back moves, you had a famous one back in college.
The move.
The move. Real quick, 30 seconds. Tell us about your thought process and how Bobby Hurley treats you now after that.
I'll tell you something, man. I hung out. That's my guy, man. Much respect to Bob Hurley. His first year at ASU, I hung out with him 3 days. He's going to be on my documentary. I got to give him a lot of love.
Awesome.
And we went over the move. It's going to be crazy. But that night, man, I was just tired of hearing about Duke. He's a fierce competitor. Have no disrespect from Bob Hurley. or the Duke Duke College, but they was just